It's saying it's setting up the meeting. We never now. The meeting is now streaming live.
Hooray,
Everyone,
hooray.
we are
We're
on
lively.
Facebook. We are recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Reid from readaboutsex.com, and I am super excited to nerd out with two people. Lee, you and I've known each other for so many years now, and we're like, we never talk except like a text every once in a while. So this might be the longest you and I've ever talked in one shot. We're broadcasting from Texas. And Ms. Cenna, I don't think have we met in person?
No,
ever?
I don't think so.
So this is our first time. So I just want to say thank you for being a yes to this. And I'll eventually ask you both to kind of like introduce yourselves because you'll do it much better than me. But I did want to let everybody know from a context perspective, we're both teaching, all three of us are teaching at a virtual intimacy retreat coming up soon. But before we hit record and broadcast, we were talking about like just how hard it's been for us to like get anything done in a given day. And we were commiserating about how much struggle there is for us, but even though we're excited about teaching. So I want to make sure we covered that because I think that will probably resonate with a lot of people, just like how are we getting through the days. But before that, please tell us who you are a little bit so that people who don't know you on my end get to know you a little bit.
Okay. So I'm Miss Cenna. I'm born German and I have lived in Texas for 30 years. So some of my viewpoints and thought processes are colored by being in a very conservative red Bible Belt state trying to be kinky, right? So there's a bit of a conflict there just by the nature of Texas. I've been in the kink community. My background is kink, BDSM, leather, SM. That's where I traditionally teach. So I've been doing the teaching since 2009. I've been in the community learning and doing the things, all of the things for 16 years. And I've been with Lee for just a year and a half. Yeah. And so we're both educators, and so we went, you know what, we should educate together. That sounds great. So here we are.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Well, also I am married. I've been married for 28 years. We are a polyamorous household. My husband also has a partner, which is also his submissive. And we are raising a son whom is 17. So, a polygroups.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, and my name's Lee Harrington. You can find Ms. Cenna's information on househaven.com and mine's over at passionandsoul.com. And I've been in the diverse sexuality communities publicly since '96, and I've been teaching. Oh, music! I love it when music goes off. But I've been teaching in the kink communities and polyamorous communities and whatnot since 2001. It's been my honor to get to write a number of books, whether on exploring transgender experience or talking about how to get kinky and fun with some rope in the bedroom since then. And I'm completely hearing you right now on the how much energy you have because I am one of those individuals who, as you can tell just by that piece of an introduction, I tend to keep a lot of balls up in the air. And it's been feeling, well, that was a good double entendre, but it wasn't planned.
And for you as a Shibari person, I know that is sometimes actually literal.
That's fair.
Well done.
But yeah, as somebody who is often traveling and going, and like I'm doing Wednesday classes, donation-based classes every single Wednesday, and I'm doing like all of this stuff usually, the slow wear, right? Like like whether it's not being able to travel or see my people, whether it is trying to just keep the mundanity of life down, whether it is the stress and challenges of living in the politics of today, whatever it might be, has felt like this stream that is eroding away like my canyon. And it's such a little thing, but sometimes it can feel really down there. I mean, even coming up with topics for my weekly Wednesdays, like the first 2 months was like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, because I started it right when the lockdown started. And now I'm like, can I just pull my Patreons? Do you have an idea? Because I just would like to nap. Napping sounds really nice.
Yeah. I mean, I had a similar thing where at the beginning, there was kind of like I had a burst of energy, created an online class for people to create online classes, because I knew that would, a bunch of our friends, our peers and colleagues all had their live events taken away, and a lot of people hadn't been learning about online offerings yet. And so, like, to help people pivot, I did something for free for everyone and had this kind of burst, and then just started it just felt like backsliding in these weird ways, while at the same time being very grateful. I'm here with Allison, and we got a dog, and like there's all these good things. I'm building a retaining wall, like I'm getting tinkering around the house, but at the same time, like there's this new wave for me of just like I haven't announced a new workshop on my own in like a month and a half, I think. And the only thing I'm excited about, is teaching at things other people are organizing. So like the virtual intimacy retreat, and I'll put the link in the comments. But like that, when I show up, like even showing up for this, like I'm excited for this, and then after I hit, end, I'll be like, and so like it is interesting, because normally I don't have, like, I'll have quiet times and lulls, but mostly I have a good steady reserve, and I'm missing my lovers and my other friends. Like it's weird. It's weird.
It is weird, and I'm totally getting where you're coming from. We've just recently had quite a few conversations around the fact that a lot of my drive and motivation and energy comes from the people that I am with. And teaching primarily to live audiences in the past, I got fed, I got feedback, I got energy, I got interaction, I got all the food that I needed that gave me the motivation and the drive to keep on going and keep on teaching, right? It made it nourishing for me. And much like you, when the shutdown first started, we had such grand ideas. We were like, well, if we're going to be home anyway, let's put together an online school, and we're going to just take all of our classes and make them online classes, and we can just do that. And we have all this time and nothing better to do. We should totally do that. Yeah, where we're at. It's been for the first 2 months, I was signed up for a platform. I did the workshops. I did the research. I did all the learning that I needed to do in order to actually get this thing off the ground. I learned a crap load of new tech that I thought I'd never need ever in my life. And it turns out I'm still not using it. So here you go. But somewhere in there, the juice for it just ran out.
Yeah.
It just ran out. Because there's nobody encouraging me, right? My people aren't going, dude, when is this going to be online? I totally want to see that.
Yeah.
There's no energy feedback. And that makes it really hard for me to get going and to keep going once I get started.
It's one of the reasons I feel so blessed right now with, like I said, I'm doing this Wednesday series, and by having people who are in, literally, I joked about this with Hazel Grace, that having people literally in every Wednesday, I have people from rural Indiana and Cornwall, right? Turning up, I know, right? Turning up in the same room because there's nothing happening in their area at all.
Yeah.
right? Which is very different from those of us who already have peership circles from our area who can tune in for a quick conversation with a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
If you've literally got nothing that you can do the hour-and-a-half drive to go to the one social gathering.
Yeah.
These are people who are even further cut off. So I'm feeling, you're saying nobody egging you on. I feel really blessed. And blessed, I think, is a fair term for me, actually, that I do have those populations that are lovingly poking me to get up off the couch. And I'm actually debuting it. It's sold out already, but I'm doing at the end of this month a 3-day power exchange and authority exchange relationship intensive for 20 students that is usually an in-person thing, but I've been having requests for literally the last 7 years. When are you going to do it online?
Yeah.
And again, I think having what you're talking about of nobody, both of you, like nobody was poking you, and so I don't need to announce anything. I feel very, that people were game to poke me.
Well, you also committed early on, it sounds like, to a structure that's like, it's easy for me to show up for everybody else. And like, even for like last week, I was just feeling like so ho-hum. And I was like, you know what? I need to get an email out to everybody just because it's good for business, but also like trying to help people with resources on anti-racism and other things, right? Like, because I want to do my due diligence around that. But then I was like, you know what? Like, and again, also like, I don't struggle with depression and some of the other challenges some of my close friends have. So like, it's not like I can't get out of bed. It's not like it's like I'm, dancing around the house, and that's just different for me. And so I said like, hey, everybody, like, here's a Zoom link. Join me tomorrow morning for coffee. Like, let's just have coffee. And then you can all ask me whatever you want. And that was so inspiring, even though it was a huge tech issue that day, as Murphy's Law would have it. But it was inspiring to just see people from like Bali and Australia and all these places just show up, and everyone brought their coffee cup or tea. And we all just kind of like chatted, like, because I was like, how is everyone doing? Yeah. And it was inspiring. And like, even talking to you all, like, is getting me feeling a little bit more juice and inspiration. Yeah. And the three of us have communities and platforms we can reach out to. But what you're saying, Lee, and which is part of what's inspiring me, is like offering things for people who are in the middle of nowhere, or sequestered in their little apartments, even in a big metropolitan situation. Yeah. Giving people an opportunity to connect with like-minded folk and nerd out or explore things that they feel drawn to, right? For authority and power exchange, or for, like what you're teaching this weekend, the two of you, is around like, topping and being more, well, I'll let you describe it. Like, what are you teaching? I guess I came up with a segue finally. What are you teaching?
I love it. Go ahead. So we are in a power exchange dynamic, an authority exchange dynamic, where because of how I honor and delight in her, I have chosen to surrender to her, and she has lovingly accepted me to do that journey over the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm. He cleans my bathrooms.
I do clean her bathrooms.
That helps.
Everybody's got hobbies.
That's just nice. I mean,
but one of the things we talked about early in our relationship is that it's really hard for people who are dominant and or tend to lead in their relationships at large, right? Because even if you don't identify with the words dominant, submissive, or top or bottom, oftentimes there's people, whether it's in the bedroom or in a relationship as a whole, who tend to be the ones who lead, right? Who tend to be the ones that set down that first step, who propose ideas of where to go out to dinner, the leaders in some of these conversations. And that there are things that she enjoys that I have the skill sets to give. And how do we figure out how to do that, right? Like, is it her saying to me, boy, go upstairs and I want you to tie me up in an hour? Or is it ma'am, would you like to do this thing tonight? And I verbalize it, or is it going on the potential consent gray areas of me like surprising her with a thing, even though she's normally the leader in our dynamic? Like it's that conversation taking it into the bedroom, right? Like how do we have these dialogues with our partners? How do we figure out, actually hell for me, how do I make sure at the end of our encounter, our scene, our bedroom night, how do I make sure I hand the power back to her? Because it wasn't like our agreement was not to have me take it over permanently.
And
There's that. And also a lot of dominance, male or female, for different reasons, or some similarities, but very different actually. Now, here we go, that just did work. Anyway, if you are somebody that is a dominant personality or a strong personality, and you are always holding the reins in your relationship, be it career-wise, family, whatever, you're the one that has the pants on, the proverbial pants. It is really essential that somewhere you have a space where you can let go, even for just 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever, right? Where I can just say, boy, I want you to go upstairs. We're going to do X, Y. I want you to do X, Y, Z for me. And I'm just going to let go and shut off for 3 hours. And you take it, right? But with that, for me to be able to do that, I have to be willing to offer, my trust, and to be vulnerable to whatever it is that we're going to end up doing. Because to me, some of the bottoming activities that some of the activities we're engaging in are potentially me being extremely vulnerable. And especially as a female dominant, vulnerability is often equated with being submissive as a female.
Yeah.
And there is not a submissive bone in my body.
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So what's the difference, or like your take on submissive versus being able to receive?
Can I be a word nerd? Okay, word nerd. Okay, so my definitions is that topping and bottoming, or to top and bottom, are verbs. They're action.
Okay.
So if I am bottoming to massage, I'm getting massaged.
Okay.
If I am bottoming to a spanking, I'm the one getting spanked.
Got it.
If I am penetrating someone, I am topping. I'm the action giver.
Okay.
So a bottom is an action receiver. A top is an action giver as far as the verb goes.
Okay. And that is regardless of whether or not you're dominant or submissive.
Exactly. Right?
Okay.
It's not the same.
Right, because somebody say receiving a massage could be dominantly receiving a massage, work more on my right shoulder, work more on my left. I want you to move down to my mid back. Or could be submissively receiving a massage of going, what do you want to do to my body? Explore my body. I trust you to work on me.
Got it. Oh,
so okay. For me, at least, grid, right?
Yeah.
It's a giver and a taker, as it were.
Right. So giver, taker,
a receiver, and a
giver, taker, leader, and follower.
Right.
Leader, follower. Okay, got it. Perfect. Thank you.
And the difference to being submissive or dominant, to me, submissive and dominant is more a personality trait. Right? Are you naturally more a leader position, or are you naturally more somebody that follows? Do you prefer to make your own decision, or would you rather have somebody else make decisions for you because you just don't want it? Right? And they're two different things.
And there are some people for whom it's naturally like how they are day to day, every day. For some people, they can evoke it, right? They can pull it out from inside themselves by getting dressed up in the fancy outfit, or by listening to great rock and roll heavy music, or whatever it is, right? They can pull out that thing. I don't know if you've ever had that, but like try to.
Do you have a playlist? Is there a playlist, Lee? I want to know if there's a playlist.
I have playlists.
Oh my God, we should totally we post your playlist somewhere maybe?
For which
one? Your heavy get into the role, like this is hot, heavy, whatever. That could be fun.
That could be fun.
But so for some people, you have it in you
Like the half hour playlist we did for the whip scene.
Oh, that'd be hot. Yeah,
That'd
absolutely
be totally hot.
So we'll try to post. We'll find it and post it in a link.
Okay, this is perfect.
But that for some people, you have it in you, but it's not your day to day. But you can pull it out. Right? There's a piece in you that, in the right situation or with the right attitude, you can pull it out. And for other people, you have to put it on like a mask. People who have to get into the costume, like it's Halloween, to play make pretend.
Got it.
And neither of those inside or outside things are bad. But if she asks me, I want to get spanked, right? Just as a random out of the whatever, I have to, if I am going to listen to her request, I now get to figure out in me, okay, how do I get enough in my head to take the thing she wanted and make it happen and have it not just be believable, but even authentic in that moment.
Sure.
Pull open the spanker outside of me? Do I put on the vest and play dress up and go, okay, I'm now wearing my magic armor that makes me into the spanker?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting too. Like, cause there's so many different ways to get into character or mood or congruent, whatever that is. But if people haven't thought about this, how would you know the different ways to get there?
And that is exactly what the class is going to be.
Got it. Okay.
A lot of
nice.
Thinking, a lot of intelligence involved, a lot of thinking, a lot of brain work, and some hard work.
And we're also going to do a couple little exercises in it around feeling inside your body. Where is your tension and your stress? Where are your desires? So that, you know, if you have a thing where you're like, well, I don't know why, but I kind of want to do the thing, you start figuring out how to bring it up at all.
Well, and I know you and I have talked enough, Lee, that I can imagine you've anchored some of these ways in a ritualistic form so that you can trigger the cascade that gets you where you want to be.
Though she and I come from very different psychological and socialization and whatever mindsets. She actually has a shirt that says, please, what is it? It's not my fault what my face is saying when you're talking.
I am not responsible for my face while you're talking.
But I am a touchy, feely, get inside your heart and feeling kind of person in a lot of ways. She's an A-type personality, German. Like it's
okay.
I mean, did you just stereotype? Yes. Because you called it yourself. You have said that about yourself. If I am being offensive, please tell me that this is a thing you have said about you.
I am a very, very pragmatic, stoic, it is what it is, fairly non-emotional, reasoning, logical person, and he is all the other things. So us leading discussions together, one of the benefits is that you're getting to see both sides of the story, not only from the top and the bottom and how that switches around, but also how my thinking works, which is very straightforward and blunt. I want you to go do that versus what he has to do to be even able to get there, right? Whereas if I was doing the switching, I just go to the other side and I'm there. Just got to do a little bit of work.
Thanks for sharing that. This is fun. This is fun watching the two of you together. I like this.
Well, our hope is, and it's one of the things I love, I like looking at the virtual intimacy retreat, like kind of like some of their lineup and stuff, is that the diversity of voices and how they'll individually present that information will be different for different attendees. Right? And two people attending our class might be like, oh my God, I totally get what Lee is talking about wanting to pull up my own emotions and getting to know ahead of time how to have that thing ready to go so I can do it. That's going to be great for me. And the person next to them is being like, totally lost me. Yeah. Her analytical processing, yep, got it.
Well, I mean, being able to teach, being able to demonstrate and show both, and that most people, like, if there's like a Kinsey scale for pragmatist, analytical, and then like woo-woo, like not even woo-woo is not the right word, but like however you want to say, like nonlinear, gushy feels versus verbal, you know, all those things, which to me, it all is just a color wheel
Yes.
It's all over the place, and it's not even just a two-dimensional wheel, it's probably a sphere.
Yeah.
You know, so like where are you all in the places, and we're all probably moving around, but like being able to show people different ways so that they can connect and see themselves, and also be able to see their partners and you know, other ways of being, so that we just have more ways of connecting, more ways of translating for each other. That's so useful and powerful. And in a world where so many people can't even talk about these stuff, like you're saying, like somebody in some rural town, where do you go to have this conversation? At the town cafe or diner? You don't. Right? Like, so these places where we can meet online and virtual in the comfort of our own home, like this is where I'm like, and now I'm getting super excited. Like, this is the silver lining in some of this. We knew the internet was out there and we could reach out and kind of find groups and stuff. But like now everyone's kind of forced to reach out in these ways or explore these ways. And hopefully people are finding the groups and the events and the teachers and communities that click with them, so that you can start to open up, even if you're just stuck in your apartment.
I also think that moving forward, even after the COVID thing has passed and we're going back to whatever the new normal is going to look like, that the online education it's going to stay, right? People have gotten used to it, and people that can't afford to go to live events can afford to go to a little online event somewhere, either for free or very, very low fee comparative to traveling somewhere, getting a hotel room, paying the event cost, and all of those things. I think moving forward, it's going to stay. It's not going to go away again. I think the online education is going to be a permanent part of what's going to be.
Yeah, and also like I'm hoping that for those of us educators who do kind of connect and get better at, like, we're learning how to give good Zoom now, and actually be like not just better public speakers, but better at wrangling technology so that we can pour our teaching strengths into how we lead, such that people, because what I don't want is for people who are hungry and curious and starving to reach out and be brave, and then like it's like that bad teacher you had when you were a kid who was boring as hell and wasn't engaging. And I mean, you can go to a conference, you can pay money and show up in person and get a bad teacher too. But like, I'm really hoping that like we all benefit from this time together, so that that online teaching that continues is just fun and exciting and engaging and is really uplifting for people. Like that's my wish overall, because that would be lovely.
Yes, it would.
And I would encourage people just to think of like giving good Zoom, also being game to receive good Zoom too. Because I recently was shown something on class and my brain just went, and they just went, okay, cool. And they just got up from their chair and they kept talking, blah, 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 like doing this, whatever. And I'm like, wait, I can stand up while listening to Zoom? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you.
This is why I have a keyboard and not my computer sitting in front of me, because the amount of times I've spit taken on technology. This is my segue for the virtual threesomes made easy. About half of the class is about how not to fuck up your computer because you had a really hot, sexy date or threesome, because that's almost happened. And a learning tip for me is like, you have to get a keyboard that's not attached to your stuff, because if I jizz on this is okay. Do not ruin your laptop, people.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Important safety tip. So back, I interrupted, but the spit take piece about like standing up and being able to receive good Zoom.
And move and go, because I think there's also a lot of people who have Zoom fatigue or social media fatigue in these times, and that's part of what's draining all of us. is how many hours have I been on this thing?
Yeah.
Versus getting up from my screen and still listening to the thing as I putter around and move my body around and stretch and do. And I think if we can, because that's what we do in our classrooms, right? We're at least physically raising our hands and we're going up and hugging people. And so I would also encourage people who attend these things to remember that you're an adult learner. You can move your body around, even if it hasn't been said by a teacher. Like, go get your cup of water, do the things that you would have done if this had been in person.
And then the other thing that you have going on, and we're going way over what we scheduled as time for us, so it just kicked me off because now I'm just nerding out with y'all. But like, so the idea, right, is for teachers it can be a little bit tricky because now you've got like 20 screens and there are people like getting up and there's a cat walking across, so it can be a little distracting. But teaching wise, there's a couple of different things you can do on Zoom. But like at the same time, like for you as a participant, like if I get up, then I wheel this over, and I'm so excited by what's going on. I'm taking notes while the teacher's teaching. Like in a weird way, like I just gave everybody permission to get up out of their chairs, to go get, like if I'm one of those visual learners for myself, where like making notes and writing on a whiteboard, like by me taking agency and doing that, you just showed a bunch of people, oh, wait a minute, I can do that. Like, I don't need to sit here with my hands folded in my lap. Like, so that's exciting.
Yes. And one of the things I did with an online class I took right before all this COVID stuff happened, and it was on teaching, like how to learn how to be a better teacher and online. And the timing was amazing. She and I both took. I frantically was taking notes because when I'm at events in person, I'm the kid with the notebook in the front row, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm that kid. And I was doing that while on the screen, and the second class I just posted and said, does anybody want my notes? Just because I know some people had missed the first class or two. And so every week I just handed everybody my unedited Word document. Here's what I took notes on, who wants it? And suddenly the team is educating each other in these experiences rather than a talking head. We are now sharing wisdom that would have been shared if we were all live in a group. And to me, that's how we go from having like single directional didactic lecturing into creating community learning, which my personal experience is that has deeper effect.
Sure.
In the world.
Sure. No, it's so interesting. Yeah, I hope this goes well for everyone ultimately. Like,
Me too.
I don't know what else to do. Like I have to have that kind of optimism for this. I mean, it's partially kind of who I am too, but at the same time, like, I think people, I've been talking to some of my friends and some of my, other people reach out to me, and like people that we're still in the first wave here in America, I really think is starting to like slam people now. And, so for everybody watching and listening, like, I hope you're doing okay. Like, I hope this talk has gotten you a little bit excited. Come check out the intimacy retreat. If it doesn't look like it's a good fit for you, use this talk and the momentum to go find a retreat or a festival or an online class or something that really does work for you.
Yeah,
like,
go get forth and be kinky.
Yeah, go find out those things.
Exactly. And I'm going to go ahead and drop in the chat box. We'll try to get one for her music, and then I'll also drop one in there for my Wednesday upcoming class.
I was going to ask you too.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about destigmatizing STIs, and by STIs I mean both sexually transmitted illnesses and socially transmitted illnesses.
Ooh.
I can destigmatize people with COVID and experiences for people who are having to go out and work.
So can I pick your brain real quick?
Yeah.
So now we're in this weird, like, so for those of us who are kind of like, we got like the fluid bonding thing and we know how to get tested and we've kind of figured that out. So now it feels like with COVID around transmission, it's like we're air bonding. Like it's not fluid bonding, but it's like breath.
Yep.
So like do you have a couple of ideas for people to wrap their heads around that before they go?
Well, I'm actually, yeah, I'm a really big fan of looking at the models we already know for people, change that, for people who are sexual adventurers, consensually non-monogamous, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We've already had some of these discussions around what are the different risk factors at play. Having bareback oral sex with somebody that you know who's been tested recently, but it's paired with two people you don't know, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you've got moving vectors here, as compared to you only play sexually with one person, is the only person you make out with, is the only person that you have penetrative sex with, and the only person that you have body-to-body contact with, right? Different risk factor. And other people who might, like, so we've got this notion already. So how do we start applying this math to these complex equations of airborne illnesses?
Mm-hmm.
And touch-based illnesses, because just like people forget that a lot of STIs can be transmitted orally, right? Like oral gonorrhea, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people forget that, people forget that COVID can be transmitted through contact touch with barriers and with objects, that somebody who coughed in their hand, touched that thing, you touch that thing, and then you put it to your face, is still a transmission, vector. So for me, it's about looking at those complex equations and using the math skills we already were developing as sluts,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I'm using that word as a self-identifier, if that's not the word you use.
No,
cool.
we're
right?
good.
Like,
we're good.
right? As a hussy, like, what are some words that, what's some words? No, what are some of the tools that you were already using to do that math for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my big thing, is looking at where your risk factors and choices are, because if I'm going to say, I'm just going to go to that one rock concert, I'm only doing it once, it's not that big of a deal. It is the same degree of thought process as, I'm going to go have bareback sex with a stranger once. It's only once. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And yet in both cases, people do what's called gambler's fallacy, which is that people look at a low amount of risk, or a risk amount, and go, well, I'm only, if it's 1 out of 10 gets it and I'm only going to play it once, it's fine. I'm going to be one of the 9. Well, actually, your odds reset every time.
Yeah.
And if somebody says, well, it didn't happen to me that first time, so it's not going to happen again. No, your odds reset every single time. Just because you did it once and it didn't happen to you, your odds reset every time.
Yeah, the odds are not dependent in that instance on frequency.
No, not at all. It resets every single time. And the same is happening for us with COVID, is to look at your individual odds, look at these things, and how to take it apart. So,
cool. And that's Wednesday? That's happening on Wednesday?
That's on Wednesday,
okay,
yeah. Cool. And to me, it's also, with all of that, how to also destigmatize it. Because we keep saying things like, well, I'm going to hang out with anybody except if somebody has COVID, not thinking about the fact that people might not be reporting, or they might be in a period where they don't know they have it.
Yeah.
And you're now saying to somebody with COVID, you are less than, and I won't visit you or talk to you. Good luck with that.
Which drives people more into silencing and hiding. And as people become more starved for physical connection and social connection, we know that we've learned by now that you putting human beings in double bind situations where there is no win does not create some amazing, enlightened aha moment where we learn how to behave better for most people.
Yeah, we now have people not reporting that they went to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that I'm finding myself doing, and I hate that I'm doing it, is I have rheumatoid arthritis. And my medication basically means I have no immune system whatsoever, right? I'm at a higher risk. So when I go out to the grocery store, even at the times that is predetermined for immune system people and old people and higher risk people, I hate that I'm walking towards somebody and looking at them with suspicion.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate that. And it is a physical response that it just happens. It's not a, wow, it's just this response.
It's human.
Yes, and I look at this response and then I have to look at, well, what are kink events going to look like in the future? How are you going to have 200 people in a dungeon, for example, and just do the thing? We can't. Because you don't know who's been. I mean, it's like the multiplier, right? You bring a third in, you don't know where they've been, and they've been with people, and they've been with other, and it's just this gigantic ball of wax, and you're like.
And to me, it's the same suspicion thought process from during the AIDS crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you're going to a bathhouse and you don't know now what, like you're now looking at people's suspicion that last week were just some person you might have played with. And
yeah, the destigmatization piece seems to be, I mean, it's not the magic bullet, but if we can't talk about these things and stay regulated, right, like if, and being able to be regulated, to be able to be compassionate and patient with people who are deregulated, like to be able to talk about it enough that we start to get the hang of it, so that we can then think creatively and logically to problem solve and come up with solutions. Like, because that kind of creativity and thinking doesn't happen when we're all triggered or activated or suspicious.
Right.
And it's going to take those kinds of staying open and present and compassionate for us to move forward.
Right. And not vilifying somebody where you say, oh, how did you get COVID?
Yeah.
In the same way we say to people, how'd you get herpes?
Yeah.
And to realize that these are complex answers, and statements like everybody needs to stay home is now vilifying people who can't make that choice. Now, they're not choosing not to.
Yeah.
But if they don't do it, they can't have a house over the house for their kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and then we're back into talking constructively about harm reduction, which doesn't mean it's safe, right? Because it's never completely safe. But like having a harm reduction, an actual constructive harm reduction conversation, a lot of people haven't been exposed to that to know their way around it enough, and even that can feel threatening and too much. But ultimately, you know, driving a car on a highway is not safe, but we pretend it is.
Right. Yeah. We pretend it is all the time. So yeah, that's what part of my hope is for Wednesday. We'll see how deep we get into the conversation. But I think it's an important topic.
Thank you for stewarding that.
Yeah, and my hope is also for whoever's watching this right now, whatever it was that we talked about today, whether it was about, are you shy about sharing something with your partner and maybe building up some ability to do so, whether it's that you've been feeling drained for the last couple of days too, and it's okay. Like, take one of the pieces from what the three of us have been talking about. I would just encourage people who are at home to think about taking something from today's conversation and take it forward, because that's, I think, how we continue the energy too, is by not having these one-off conversations stay dead in the water where they were at. It's every one of us continuing the conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think it's important to also let people know that even your leadership and the people that you're looking up to and your role models are tired and low energy. It's not a little person's or little man's problem. It's everybody's problem, right? Just because you're looking up to me and I'm like this person in your life doesn't mean that I'm always just let's go. I'm not. It affects everybody, right?
Yeah.
Just thinking about the people that you always see at events that are always the volunteers. You always have certain people at events that always sign up to do all the work. Right? They just have this, they're career volunteers, right? This has got to be driving them absolutely crazy.
Oh, because they have no place to
They have no place to fill that need.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have severely service-oriented people or even submissives and they live elsewhere and they can't provide the service that they want to so desperately provide, what do you do with them? How do you fill that? Because as dominance or the lead in any relationship, you want to take care of the people in your family.
Yeah.
And people that are dear to you. And you see them struggling and I'm like, I have absolutely no juice to give to you right now. I see you're struggling. I would love to help you and fix it, but I can't. I don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see where there'd be a
That's
loss
hard
of
for
purpose
Yes.
in a certain way.
Yeah, I see that happening with introverts trying to take care of their extroverts, where it's just like, oh, you're okay. I know there's no hugging of the many people, but you're gonna be okay. Let me teach you my introvert skills. You could be okay with the book. Let's teach you how to have this, you know. And it's, I think everything that you've brought up that we've been talking about is taking care of each other.
Yeah.
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 And being kind and gentle and passionate and understanding that some of the things that your partner may be doing, they may not be doing out of any kind of bad intention, right? They may just have it in them.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much for this.
Yeah.
This was so good.
Oh, so good. So lovely to see your face too. And now your thing, but your many vulva pillows.
Oh, yes, yes.
Now, try to
Make sure you save them before the dog comes by.
I will. There you go. Back to the vulva pillows.
You even have a Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's delightful.
Of course.
Victorious for the win.
So where can people find you? I put the links in the comments, but you give it verbally because I'll probably throw this up on YouTube as well.
Perfect. You can find Ms. Cenna at house-haven.com. My information is at passionandsoul, all one word, .com. And feel free to find us, join our newsletters, join us for some of our adventures, and we look forward to seeing you, whether it's tonight at Wicked Grounds for people who are listening to this live, whether it is on my Wednesday discussions or this weekend at the Virtual Intimacy Retreat.
Yeah. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you for having us. We'll see you later.
Yeah. I'm going to hit end now because it feels like we'll just keep talking forever.
Yes, you will.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.